Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast, where Kelvin's the one making funny faces today. Kelvin, how you doing?
I'm fine. We have such an interesting start to these things. We can be sitting around doing anything, and then suddenly one of us is talking and the podcast is starting, and it's like, oh, well, look at that. So, anyway.
Well, the thing is, usually if we don't get the podcast started, we're never getting the thing started, and we're going to be on the phone until like 7 o'clock. And
we do have a knack of just rambling, don't we? How can two people who've known each other as long as we have keep finding new things to talk about?
Yeah, if you think we ramble on the podcast, you should hear us when we're not on the podcast.
Yeah, because we say things then that we can't let other people hear. So
Kelvin has hours and hours and hours and hours of recordings of us. Which probably means that Zoom has hours and hours and hours and hours of it.
No, because they all record to my computer.
Okay.
They're not online at Zoom. I don't want to pay them to store that crap. Okay. Anyway, life is good. I'm here. We did the other podcast just minutes before this.
It's true.
The weather's getting better. The sky's getting clear. It looks like some of the clouds might be clearing away because there's blue and white instead of just whatever that gray stuff was a few minutes ago. And there's some actually direct sunlight hitting the house across. So I have high hopes for the day.
Good.
And I have awakened once again, and I'm loving it. And that's the name of that tune. How about you?
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about weather, there's a giant spot of light coming out of that window over my left shoulder there that you can see if you're Kelvin.
There is. It has been.
It must be very sunny out there because I have the overhead lights on so that you can actually see my face and not just be lit by that thing.
Yes, I was noticing that before. It looked like maybe somebody was beaming down from a different planet. Yeah, so I was waiting for your.
I have a big old halo around my ear.
Don't lie. That's not a halo. Don't even.
I haven't quite earned the halo around my head. Just
your ear. Okay.
Just my ear.
Earlobery. That's good. Oh, there you go. Good to see you.
Things are good here. We're moving into December. I know it's still the first half of November as we're recording this, but this is for release like toward the end of November. And I want to talk about deadlines. Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go. There are some deadlines that are just kind of arbitrary. We always say, don't wait until some arbitrary day to start something.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way that we don't necessarily need an arbitrary day to start something, sometimes our deadlines are arbitrary.
Mm-hmm.
Like December 31st, coming up in a month. That's an arbitrary deadline. But most deadlines are arbitrary. Sometimes you have to get something done by a certain time, but usually those are self-imposed so that you can start something else, because there are some things that can't be started until something's finished.
No matter how hard we try.
Right. Like you can't put wheels on a chassis without the platform, right? You need the floor of the car.
I've heard stories.
Otherwise, you wind up with a Flintstones car. You got yeah,
Dino paddling out the back. Yep.
yep.
That's
But
it.
in general, deadlines can also be arbitrary. But if we don't set deadlines, a lot of times we just don't get anything done.
That's correct.
Nobody says the mopping has to be done by 7:00 tonight. But if the mopping is not done by 7:00 tonight, we might not be mopping for another 6 weeks. And it's that way with a lot of projects. We were talking earlier, you've got some photo projects that you are working on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't set deadlines, you're not going to finish them.
They'll go on forever like they have.
That's right.
And some of them I'm waiting for money from. So if I don't finish them, I don't get the money.
That's right.
And other ones I've been given money for. And if I don't finish them, they're going to want the money back. Actually, they're going to want my head in a sling, but that's beside the point. So I got to work that out too.
Well, it becomes very difficult to deliver your own head in a sling.
It does. And I don't really want to bring my friend.
You have to really plan that. Unfortunately, you got my brain spinning now, and really what you have to do is have the box all filled out, and you have to line up the guillotine just right so that your head falls into a sling and the sling falls into the box, and your head falling into the box triggers the box to shut and seal. You have to have already ordered the pickup for your package. So now UPS can come get it.
So all you have to do is close the box.
No. You have to. Oh, well, you've already got your head in the sling.
I was going to say it's my head, so you got to close the box so it goes.
You have to have rigged that so that when your head hits the box, something will have triggered the box to close.
I'm not that smart. But how long can I work on that project?
It's probably easier to just finish the project, huh?
You're probably right. Studying, can you imagine actually studying to make that project happen? Oh my God.
How much easier would it have been just to finish your project that you
and you wouldn't have been around to see it finished, right? Because how would you know after the guillotine? How would you know? Unless you're like a chicken. Because when you cut off a chicken's head, the chicken don't die. I know that because I got chased around a barnyard by a chicken who had no head. It was one of the most terrifying things that ever happened to me. He knew exactly where I was going and went with me.
Have we talked about Mike the Headless Chicken on this podcast?
Not lately. I don't believe so.
Mike the Headless Chicken was a chicken who, had his head cut off, but they cut his head off so high that they could feed him through his esophagus. And he stayed alive for 2 whole years, and they toured him as like a circus sideshow.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I love this story so much.
I guess you do. Huh.
Yeah, it's one of those wacky stories that has stuck with me.
I'm glad we weren't drinking together that day. Really, I am.
Yeah.
So what's going on with you?
Darn if I know.
You're not cutting your head off. Well, I'm sorry.
No. I am just, as Kelvin mentioned earlier, we just recorded that other podcast where we talked about race report, and we're 6 days out of that half marathon, so it is time to get out of recovery mode and back into training for stuff in the future. And gave myself a few days to eat like I had just run 13.1 miles, and I ran a bit over 5 this morning, and I felt good. I got my wind back, got my legs back. My legs are a little sore, but some of that might come from running 5 miles and then sitting for a couple hours.
Could be that. But
generally speaking, I am, getting back into getting back into trading mode. Like we talked about a couple of weeks ago. With those slogans for ourselves. I got my Nobody Cares, Work Harder t-shirt on, reminding myself it's time to get back into it. So, yeah, that's what's in it. That's what I'm doing these days. Yeah. Gearing myself up to write more and run more and think more. And it's nice, cool running out there. It's not 90 degrees with tons of humidity right now. I can just go out there and enjoy myself for an hour or two.
Well, you enjoy that.
Thank you. I plan to. So that's what's going on with me.
And I watch it on
I have actual deadlines doing this training because I have signed up for races. So, I have a 15K coming up on December, whatever it is, 4th or 5th or something, whatever that first Saturday is. I got a half marathon coming up in January. I got a half marathon coming up in March. And those are happening whether I'm ready or not. So if I am not ready, then those are happening anyway. I have deadlines to be ready for.
Run, Forrest.
So I have already imposed deadlines on myself, which is something it sounds like you need to do on these photo projects. And then I've got some writing projects that I need to impose some deadlines on myself for.
Oh, my goodness. So how many deadlines are there to put into place, Mr. Scheer?
Any number, right?
I was just asking.
Just like the mopping, right? If you got to get those floors mopped and you need a deadline to get that done, there's a deadline.
Sounds like there needs to be a priority system.
Sure.
Thank you very much. That was great.
But priorities can be fungible, right? You've got your urgence and your importance and your fires to put out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got deadlines that can be moved and deadlines that can't be moved. It's like I can't move these race deadlines, even though these are not urgent things.
Mm-hmm.
I've made them important to me. But if I'm not ready to go on March 5th or whatever that Myrtle Beach race is, they're not going to move the race for me.
Correct.
It's a firm deadline. Meanwhile, if my deadline for mopping is 7 p.m. and the house catches on fire, guess what? That fire's got to be taken care of before the mopping. And if the mopping doesn't get done by 7 p.m., but the fire's out, we're good. We can make the mopping 4 p.m. tomorrow. That's all right. Not a problem.
If there's still a room left for the fire.
Right. And same for you, right? You've collected some money for photo projects that you're working on, and then you've got other projects that you're working on that you haven't collected money on, but you won't get paid unless you finish them. But if you get another photo project in the meantime that becomes a priority because they're willing to pay a price for expediting the project, then that moves up your priority list. And now that's going to be the first deadline. And if you didn't already have deadlines set for the other ones, they're going to get pushed further back into they'll get done someday.
Well, we decided to put deadlines on the other ones.
Good. So deadlines on those.
And like today is it.
And if you need to move those deadlines back because somebody's willing to pay you double to expedite their project, then that happens, or you hope that happens, right?
They gotta be buying me a house or something. Pay off my house? Yes, I will annoy this other guy. Yeah. Payment in advance. Thank you very much. But otherwise, no, got work to do.
Yep.
So
deadlines are important for as arbitrary as they may be. But make them realistic, right? You can't put today deadlines on 15 projects because you won't get them all done.
No, I've tried that actually before. I've done that.
Yeah, and then
in my Franklin planner and my little Xbox.
Yeah, and you wind up getting one of them done, and you're like, well, okay, well, I'm a miserable failure, and now I can't. Now I'm not going to worry about these other 14 because I'm just couldn't make them happen today. I'm just going to spread them out. Yeah. So make your deadlines realistic.
Yes, and we have a lot of those coming up. So, but I mean, hey, what is it? It's about the beginning of December. So there's a lot of stuff I had said I was going to have done by the end of the year. Some of it has happened and some of it has not. But it's not the end of the year yet. So
that's right.
Need to figure out what's doable and do it.
Well, as Tim Ferriss likes to point out, and his area of expertise really is productivity, or has been. We overestimate what we can get done in a long period of time and underestimate what we can get done in a short period of time. So
I think that might be backwards.
Maybe. It might be backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we're not realistic about we're neither realistic about how much we can get done today, nor about how much we can get done in a year. If you can write 5 pages a day, you're writing 1,500 pages a year or 1,600 pages a year. So yeah, you're right. We underestimate how much we can get done in a year and how overestimate how much we can get done in a day. But if you take a realistic goal like 5 pages a day, heck, if you can write 2 pages a day, you're still writing over 700 pages a year. And 2 pages
where you would have been if you hadn't.
Right. So 2 pages a day sounds very realistic, but if somebody told you, hey, you need to write 730 pages this year, you'd be like, what? But then you break it down and you're like, oh, I can write 2 pages a day for a whole year. And if I need to miss a day, I can probably write 4 pages to make up for it.
Well, I had a similar issue when I started doing vitamin K, which is related and unrelated simultaneously. But I had decided I was going to do one a day. And then I looked ahead at that. It's like I look down the road, like, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe 2. I'm like, every day, how can I can write one every day? Man, it's like I tell people sometimes, if your heart looked ahead at the job it's got, for your life and how long it's got to beat and what it's got to do for the next year, it would just give up.
Yeah. Overwhelming.
But my decision ended up being, well, one a day. I can do one a day. It can be short, it can be long, it can be whatever. Let's do it. And now it's 11 years later.
Yeah.
And I've done that.
And if you put your mind to it, if you decide, hey, I don't want to have to write it all this week, but I want to get them out, set aside time to write 5 in a day, or 5 in, or write 2 for 5 days. And then you don't have to write 5 days.
It is the system. So I just have to stop telling myself what the limitations are.
Start telling yourself about the possibilities.
Yeah.
We are so good at self-limiting, aren't we?
We're a possibilitizer. Yes. That's it. Remember that. So
you remember way back, almost 4 years ago now, we talked to Jon Vroman about that challenge to run a 50-mile race.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't run 50 miles, but I can run 1 mile 50 times.
Yeah, I got to get to that first mile first. The first step's going to have to be getting to the driveway. Getting to the mailbox at the end of the driveway. We'll get creative from there.
There you go. I always start. Yeah, if I'm running from home, I always start running in my driveway. I don't wait till I get on the street to start my run.
Well, there you go.
I pass my mailbox on my run.
There you go.
Might only be 6 steps into my run, but I'm already running when I get past my mailbox.
Already running when you get there.
Yep.
And then when you see the shooting star, you know you won.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, right over there. You sound pretty funny.
I don't know why I'm needing to clear my throat so much. The coffee isn't lumpy, so.
Nobody likes lumpy.
Sugar cubes. No, that's not it. So anyway. Where do we go from here?
Well, set yourself deadlines. You got to get something done. Or you want to get something done. Set yourself a deadline. And if you really, really want to get yourself something done, set yourself a penalty for not hitting that deadline. Write a check to an organization you hate, give it to a friend, and say, hey, if I don't hit this deadline, send this off.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't for me. Yeah. I got to work on that part of the process.
Give yourself consequences if you don't hit your deadline. That's another conversation beyond that. But a deadline's not any good if you've got no reason to stick to it.
Correct. Or if it doesn't hurt. Well, as a penalty, if it doesn't actually cause you some discomfort. Right. There was no incentive. So,
right.
But we got stuff going on.
All right. Well, thank y'all for being here. VitaminKDaily.com. Get yourself 4 weeks free of that newsletter that we just talked about. JKWDpodcast.com for show notes for this and all our other episodes. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends. And we will see you next week. Bye. A Better Humanhood production.